Hey, how you doing, guys? This this is a chance for all of us to come together. Um, I'm really looking forward to working with Tech Coach Ralph today and talking about some of the things that we've had in store when it comes to us working together. And as we navigate this amazing platform and we start talking about the things that are out there in cybersecurity and helping people um, gain and understand a little bit more about what's happening and how to enter into our beloved environment. I've been lucky enough to have other people who want to help me share the information and the message of cyber. So with that said, I know that we're at the 8:01 hour. But what I'm gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and begin our countdown. All right. We're back. We're back. We're back. Hey, I just wanted to take a little bit of time and thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I know that it's kind of late over here on the within the Eastern Standard Time Zone, but across the rest of the United States, we have the ability to kind of enjoy the time difference that we're experiencing. Some of the things that we're gonna hope to cover. I don't know if you were there, but last time that we had this chat, this meet, we had a few of my nearest and dearest friends showing up that were cyber professionals from a couple different areas. One was a Google had experience working at Google. The other one created his own tech company to teach and get people on the path to certification. um I'd like to, take the time and what we're going to do during this interview is we're going to cover some of the questions that had not quite been answered. And here's our buddy Tech Coach Ralph coming to the stage. Let's bring him on up. Hey, how
All
you
right.
doing, Tech Coach Ralph? How's everything going?
Good, good. I'm going to bring you up onto my channel as well. Give me
Amazing.
1 second.
And guys, if you're not following along with Tech Coach Ralph, you need to go ahead and check on YouTube. Just type in Tech Coach Ralph. You should be able to find him. He's the gentleman that you see to my right, or perhaps to my left, because it's probably mirrored. And you'll get not only amazing information when it comes to QA and architecting, but I think he just generally does a really great job at breaking down the fundamentals of learning, which is very important when you want to get into places such as cybersecurity. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over.
I'm muted. So
There.
we are going to get into our Q&A. Did you get all your introductions out and everything? Are you good to go?
I mean, I said some things, and hopefully people will enjoy. I wasn't as verbose as I could be, but
All right. So I'm going to, I wonder if I could do this here. All right. So I want to put my timer up. Do I have a timer up on the screen? Yes, I do. All right. So timer
okay.
up. You're not going to see it. You're not going to be able to see it here, but
Can't see
yeah,
your timer,
yeah, you're
but
not going to see my timer, but I will
hold on.
let you know when you got to wrap it up. All right. So,
I have a solution to it though. I can jump in and mute my phone.
all right. So we have the timer up, and I am going to put the 3 minutes on. Well, not yet. All right. So now let me get our questions up. And if anyone has any questions, you can either put it in my chat or put it in Fox's chat, and we're gonna do our best to get as many questions answered as tonight. But whatever doesn't get answered tonight, we're gonna roll it over to the next show, and eventually everything's gonna get answered. So let's start off with a question that we had. I want to ask this question, right? Because it's like I hear a lot of people ask, like, and it's not just in cybersecurity; it's in all aspects of tech. All right. So the question is, how would I obtain experience outside of work so I'm not dead weight of just the first few months of just job shadowing?
Okay, that sounds like let me make sure that I understand. How do I what I heard is how do I join cybersecurity or take on a new role and be proactive in those in that position? How do I bring the most value on my when I join a new team? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, what I'll say is the first step is familiarity with the job title. I think you talked about a little bit earlier on your YouTube channel, and for those who weren't tuning in, just being able to research and do your own due diligence so that you understand what skills are going to be expected. Um, I know that sometimes it's not financially possible for us to like build full grown labs to learn an enterprise environment, but for most of the part, I think here's the best thing that I can tell you: take a deep breath. You got the job, and you got the job because you met a couple core things. One, you're a good culture fit, and two, you possess the skill set or the propensity to be able to acquire that information or the knowledge set necessary for you to be successful in those things, in those roles. So understand that even at the senior level, as you go and you work in different areas, or for different companies, not different areas, but different companies. For instance, if I'm a SOC analyst for Ernst Young and then KPMG, the skill sets are typically similar, but they're going to teach you the nuance that's how they do business with that specific corporation. So just bone up on what without understanding what particular job you're going after. What I will tell you is a pretty blanket statement, and I apologize for this, but um take your time, look at the job description, go learn what they're asking you for. You can find that in a myriad of different ways. There are online things that exist, and there are localized things that you can spin up. So if you're going to be a system admin, learn a little bit about IAM, learn a little bit more about about building endpoints and how they interact within the overall infrastructure of the business. And I think I'm approaching probably what 20 seconds.
Anything else, or are you good to go with that?
I'm trying to be respectful of the time limit,
All
so
right. Well, in that case,
go on and go on. So
so all right, time is up. You're not going to hear my sound effects, but I'm going to do them
I heard
anyways.
the
All right.
Jeopardy noise.
So
I heard that. Yeah.
when we end a question, we're going to go with. All right. So that is that, and we have our good friend in the chat saying, "Shout out to Socks." Shout out to you, Socks.
Oh, shout out to everybody here. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to an old man like me spread the cyber gospel.
All right. So we're going to go to another question. This one was from Leon back in the when we had the panel. So
Mhm.
we're going to go with this. All right. The question is, how can a software engineer transfer over to the cybersecurity space?
Um, so when I think about software engineering, um, I think about the ability to quickly not only ingest information, but also the ability to prioritize identify pain points and get things inside of a reasonable measure of time for delivery, right? So if you're delivering some middleware, or if you're, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm building some bespoke technology, some middleware for a thing that needs to talk to another thing to make it easier for the end user. Um, and I think that it's a whole lot easier for you, because you've already knocked off the ability. You have command of some code, right? So it could be Babel, it could be R. R is one of my favorite things in the world. You Python, C sharp, what have you. There's a myriad of disciplines that you're going to walk in with, that you're going to be able to pull in order to either make it so that as a cybersecurity expert, I don't have to go and hire or reach out to any of the other business verticals to get support. In fact, like if you focus on DevSecOps, life is going to be really sweet for you. And the reason why I say that is because you have the fundamentals, or you have a common grasp of the ability to create something, or to follow through with the project. Now we inject you with the understanding of the security platforms that's important to understand. So start focusing on the OWASP 10. Start focusing on making sure that you have proper epics inside of your scrum that align with a security mindset and a security posture um, versus the developmental cycle that just focuses on the end user and usability, right? So get familiar with the CIA triad, right? And how that ultimately impacts the way that we do business. As a cybersecurity professional, if I'm a cybersecurity architect, depending upon where I'm working, I'm going to be concerned with, if the overarching concern from the business is availability or security, and those things kind of flex with where you're going to place the largest emphasis on those things. And from a programmatic perspective, I think that there's no way that you couldn't be successful. Run Code Ninja is a really good platform that gets you in the place where they start to show your ability to identify, because you understand the development life cycle, looking at the way that people might be able to hook into your processes is going to be really important. So malware development tends to that's I want to be a security researcher when I grow up. Malware development is one of those key fundamental things that's necessary in order to get an understanding of that. I think I've been past like 15 seconds
You're
past.
good. Um, and I'll just add this too, right? Like me being just a QA engineer, right? I've messed around with the IAM permissions and roles and stuff like that. I'm in AWS all the time doing all types of crazy stuff. I've
Lambda.
messed around security groups and everything. So I think that and every company is different, right? Because like at my company, the engineers have a lot of access to Terraform and you're creating infrastructure, all that type of stuff, right?
Mhm.
So there is definitely opportunities to tap into it if you want to make that full shift. I would say as a software engineer, you want to start getting familiar with those things now and thinking about it in the code that you're writing and how it affects it, so that you can that like when you go to um talk about it to whoever it is, that like you know what you're talking about, and it's like they don't have to hold your hand to train you at that point. And I would say as well, one more thing I would say, Socks U is going to help you with that as well. Just I don't know if you spoke about that yet, but Socks U, January 2024, that's gonna help you with those any type of transition you need, right? So just
there's
throwing
there,
that out there.
there's going to be some amazing things that we have, but we're probably going to couch that in the conversation at the lower end of the
I
thing.
got you. I
Mention,
got you. You know, just had to.
really
But
appreciate it.
all right. So with that question, we're gonna. All right. So just want to throw this out there, right? If you're enjoying this Q&A, we plan on doing this monthly, right? But in order for us to do it monthly, you have to subscribe to the channel. You have to hit the notification bell on both of our channels. You have to like the video, share the video, because so many people want to get into tech, into cybersecurity. Share it with the world, all right? So with that being said, we are going to get to our next question. So this one was a comment on, I believe it was on your video, on your stream, right? It was from So Cautious. And it
Yeah.
said, I've been on disability for a while. I would like help gathering the skills to enter the field and get to work. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Do you have any advice for someone who is on like disability? Like, what could they do in the cyber realm, in the field? Like, what are their options? What would be a good idea for them?
So, okay. So I'm gonna need more than my 2 minutes, but um, I just really gotta. I want to be honest with everyone. And I want to be as transparent as possible. The cybersecurity environment has been so supportive of so many different walks of life, from physical disabilities to mental disabilities. Like there is something there. Largest concentration of neurodivergent people, which is what makes us so great at being able to see the patterns and solve for things that neurotypical people tend to have problems with identifying. So um let's just back up a little bit. Time time is the number one thing that you need to focus on, right? um and what I mean about time is, and I'm assuming that you have it, right? So sitting down and taking the time to review something that we put together and shared with in our last presentation, which was the cybersecurity roadmap. um Legitimately taking your time looking at what we're offering, or the solution that we provided, and seeing what best fits for the direction that you would like to go to. um when we talk about handicaps or disabilities, I would have to know a little bit more to really, you know um uh cater this answer specifically to that response. But I would say, depending upon what is going on, there's remote opportunities that exist. There are in person opportunities that exist, and because of the ADA law, there's typically there's supposed to be um, no discrimination based upon your disability. And I understand that it may be challenging for those who may have different disabilities, but I would advocate that check out EFF, Electronic Frontiers Foundation. They have a ton of things. The ADA actually has, and within government spaces, they have different offerings that accommodate those of us that are that are disabled. So I would say, find what is least impactful to your disability, and then focus on that. Like, for instance, I'm a war veteran, so when I came back from Afghanistan, sleep and sound was a thing, right? So sleep and sound, I mean, it may not register too much, but like that means that I'm not probably gonna have a great time working inside of a manufacturing plant and securing their endpoints. That might be a little bit problematic. So just understanding your limitations, and I can almost guarantee you that there are opportunities that exist for you out there. You just have to understand um what the frameworks that you have to work within look like, and feel free to follow up with the question if you want to give us more insight as to what the disability that you're interested in solving for.
That's awesome. And one thing I always say too is like just start learning and then you're gonna find ways to start plugging in the knowledge and stuff like that. I wouldn't focus too much on like the disability,
Right.
but focus on like learning the information and then you're gonna find different ways to plug it in and go from there. All right.
And one more thing, I'd just like to tack this on. Like, I've worked with various agencies, governmental agencies, and if you're very good at the job that you do, right, they will accommodate for you. Like, I have known about people getting some really amazing situations where they said they just was not coming into the office because they were agoraphobic, and because of their skill set and how well they understood their craft, they were able to overcome that initial restriction with the agency that does not allow people to work remotely.
Awesome. Yep, that's a very, very good point. So definitely tap in and reach out to us and we can probably provide some additional insight. So don't hesitate to reach out. All right. So on that note, all right. So before we go on, I thank you. Just got a new sub. Can't see who it is, but I do appreciate you. Um, I want to say this. I did tell you on Saturday, thank you for your service. I appreciate you.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now as well, in front of everybody, thank you so much for your service. And I have a person in my chat who says also, thank you for your service. Shout out to you, Andrew. Says thank you for your service. So
Oh
just
no,
wanted to share that
you.
with you.
Thank you for your support. That's all I have for you. Just thank you for your support.
All right. Okay. So let's get to the next one. All right. So this one is from Broadway B. She says, or I'm guessing it's a she, it could be a guy. I don't know. But it's,
All right.
do you see AI interrupting the entry level cybersecurity role slash job?
That's my favorite question. Let me tell you why. Um, have no fear. Let me tell you this. Have no fear. Um, and this is man. Okay, so here it is. The A machine will always require humans to input things, right? And let's just talk about the monster in the room, Chat GPT, right? And all of its pervasiveness and ability to go out and get you all of these things. But here's where I will offer you solace and shelter. Tech coach Ralph right now, if and I think we should do this, okay? So I think we should come up with or have the audience give us a list of things that we should solve for, and we can only use Chat GPT and Google. Now, the reason why I think that's important is because Tech Coach Ralph, while his experience is different than mine, depending upon what we're being asked, he's going to ask it in a very precise way. Here's a real gory way. I'm sorry, guys. This is the best way that I can help you understand. Um, if I was looking up how to build an atom bomb, right, and having no ex, oh, can I not say the B word? Okay, all
Go
right.
for it.
So let's say that I'm looking up how to build one in my garage, right? With no I have no understanding about atomic structures, crystalline structure, none of that. I have no idea what PTN, none of that stuff is. But Tech Coach Ralph has been educated. His background is actually in applied and advanced physics, right? Um his his query will give him so much more fidelity versus my query, which is that's the equalizer of everything. Is that Google and ChatGPT, let's say, we're I mean, or whatever, name your ML or your AI. They're perfect in their creation because if the user doesn't contain the understanding to ask in a very specific way, then you're going to get garbage in, garbage out. So don't worry about AI. Don't worry about none of that. Just get good at what you do. I promise you will not only be better at your job than the people who are using these different things, but you will actually start to use these AIs and these machine learning language models in a way that enhances you far beyond where a regular person could. So you'll be the tech coach Ralph, right? That's out there, coming up with quantum mechanics and entanglement and understanding, Schrodinger's problem sets, right? So um no, I don't feel like AI is going to be a disruptor, but I do think that if fear sets in, we are going to be less encouraged to go out and perfect our craft or to go and get at what we're passionate about, and that's how they're going to win. So don't let the machines get us.
And I'll say this too, right? I use AI like all the time for the stuff that I'm doing, and Fox is completely right. What you put in, it's what you're gonna get out. So I like because I know what I'm working on, I know what to put in. But at the same time, I wasn't gonna hire somebody to do that stuff for me anyways. I just was gonna do it like crappy, right? But with AI, it makes it like look all nice and stuff like that. So it's really about evolving with the technology and learning how to properly use these tools because they're just tools, right? Learning how to use these tools while other people are afraid of them. You embrace it, you learn it, and then you use that to your advantage, right? Everything is a tool. Use it to your advantage, and you can go from there. Because how many times in the past, like, oh my god, this is gonna take this is gonna take like the automated systems at McDonald's or whatever, right? Those who learn how to use it, they control the system, and the ones who didn't want to evolve, didn't want to learn, they want to stay behind the cashier or wherever they're getting replaced at. That's what happens. But someone knows how to use the technology, and they they grow and they keep evolving. So
Yeah,
on that
something
note,
something sweet about that.
mhm,
Just on a lower level, in undergrad, I worked on a aphasia project. For those of you who don't know what aphasia is, it's a disconnect between the brain and the mouth. So you may want a hamburger, but you'll say, "Give me bandsaw," right? And that disability was showing up inside of McDonald's or inside of different fast food organizations. And one of the things that I was able to provide was a solution, a picture based solution to enable those people, because while the brain was still intact, it was the communication from the brain to the mouth that was creating problems. And through creating a different type of menu, I was able to help some fast food industries be able to move forward. And I think that's pretty similar to people worrying about being replaced by robots at McDonald's, right? Because I was a graphic designer approaching this problem, we were able to enable people to have communication and function like the rest of the world.
awesome. All right, let's go and end this question out. And let me just highlight real quick. You are very, very welcome, Carlos. Like, we do this for you. We do this for you. We appreciate you. And shout out to you, Carlos, for subbing to my channel as well as Sox's channel.
I'm trying to get to 50. If I get to 50, I can have a custom link.
We're getting there. We're getting there. And then on my side, I have my good friend Terrence that says, great info, fellas. We're just trying to add more and more value. All right, just trying to add more and more value. And he also says, "Oh no, Y2K." That was a
Oh
total
yeah,
disaster, right?
oh yeah. I have a sticker that says something about that. Don't forget to reset your clocks at 12. It's ridiculous.
All right. So, I want to because this question that we had on the panel, I wanted to revisit it because I was still a little confused by it. So I wanted to hear your take on it, right? So this one was from Cosmic Girl, and I'm pretty sure that's a girl, right? So it says, "How does RPA factor into cybersecurity, and is it something that one can leverage skill wise as an aspiring entry level?"
And that was, I believe, RPA. That was tied into robotics, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And so here's my thing. All right. There are so many different aspects of cybersecurity, and as we progress as humans, if you guys ever get a chance to look at my Instagram, beyond looking at the madness that's in there and all the food, you'll see that I have some robotics stuff that's in there, focusing on some of the sumo robots that exist out there because I'm really into hardware hacking. Um, I I think that we're going to continue to move along as we have language models that emulate uh, human cognition. We're going to want to have also a face to match that, right? So, um, I think that, and I'm gonna make sure that I want to make sure that I'm sticking on task with this question. Is it something that you can leverage skill wise as an aspiring entry level? Absolutely. Let me tell you something. I have gotten jobs like I worked with a well known gaming company, international. Um, because I took Dragon Speak and Talk number 6, and I integrated it into my computer because I'm a Star Trek fan, and I got rid of my power plug, and I would use vocal commands in order to get my computer to get started. Now, what does that have to do with robots? Well, the ability to do that I got from messing around at my local hackerspace back in Chicago, pumping station number one. The a popular hackerspace in Chicago, and I was creating some robotics that were affected by a friend of mine's headset, which is called the Emotive, back in the late or early 2000s. So things have continued to mature, develop, and there's no doubt that we're gonna continue to see more lifelike humanoid robot type things. And I say, if that's your passion and you have a skill set to do so, you can leverage that and then start talking about biometrics and how getting past biometric locks can be enabled through fingerprint emulation on the robotics or the robot's finger pad that has LEDs or some type of tactile technology that you figured out how to emulate swirl and whirl patterns on a single piece of plastic. You know what I'm saying? So there's I'm just saying that there's a lot of opportunities to show both protective measures that we're going to need for robots, because that even jumps into the whole drone environment, um, to other things like our day to day, like the Roombas and stuff like that. How are we using Roombas to map people's whole houses before they break into your house, right? Like, and how are we securing that technology? How are we securing that information? Just some things to think about.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, right? Whatever whatever you learn can be leveraged, right? I tell the people that, like, on this channel that I coach and stuff like that. Just do cool things, right? And then use that to pretty much brag about the coolest things that you do, and then the company or whoever it is can leverage you, like the cool things that you do, and now you get more opportunities, right? So what I always say is do cool things, right?
Yep.
All right.
Do things that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah. Which hopefully is cool. So all right, let's wrap that one up.
Are we getting
All right.
the link accomplishment sound?
Yeah, that's my level completed sound.
I love it.
All right. So I want to go to this, right? So if you guys are enjoying this and you want it to happen every single month, we're doing once a month, right? Because Fox time is very, very valuable, and he's volunteering to share this amazing information that he's acquired over the past 20 years?
Yeah, man.
The past 20 years,
At
right?
least, at least, yeah.
All right. So subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my channel, right? And hit the notification bell so you can know when we go live, when we drop new content. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. Check out my Patreon. Check out coming soon, Socks You, and we're gonna get into that more as we wrap up the stream. But let's go into our next question. So, what about using SIEM,
Oh,
right?
see,
Yeah, which stands for Security Information and Event Management, right?
yep.
What about using SIEM? The company I work for uses Splunk. How would I gain experience on my own?
First of all, I'm a Splunk. I'm a certified Splunk. So many certifications with Splunk, or a few. So I'm a little bit. I like what Splunk is doing out here in the space. So how do you get? I mean, you can use Splunk. They have a free 500 gigabytes worth of data that you can ingest on your endpoints to learn. There's Splunk. There's a bunch of Splunk documentation that exists out there, and as long as um, you sign up, it doesn't cost you anything, but you can learn how to build your own KQLs. You can learn how to build your own Splunk language queries in preparation for you to get better. Here's a way that I do it, but you know, I know that it may not be as accessible for everyone. One of the things that you can do is get a Raspberry Pi. For those of you who don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, I might have one over here, but it's a small computer. It's about $35, about that big. And what you can do is you can use that to forward logs to another computer that's inside of your home network. And then you can start writing queries against that information. And like I believe if I dig into some of my previous some of my GitHub things I can show, or maybe that's something that we can follow up on, is how to use Seam in a very cost effective way. Um, but I think that Seam is really good. But as you continue moving, um, with Splunk, understanding like forwarders and understanding what search nodes look like, understanding those things, and all those things you can learn for free. It only costs you your own system resources. So go to the junkyard, not to the junkyard, go to the gosh, what is that place called? The flea market, or go to a resale shop like the Goodwill and pay $30 to get another computer. Throw Ubuntu on there and then install Splunk onto it, and then plug it into your network jack, and then you can start looking at some of the traffic in your household, and becoming kind of a I don't know, a SOC analyst at home is what's going to be best in preparing you for things to come. I noticed that I didn't mention using AWS or or Google or any of those things because those things come at a cost. But with and while the $50 that you pay for that standalone machine may be the same for you to buy a digital ocean droplet or whatnot, there's a lot more technical complexity that can be involved with working with cloud-based solutions versus just getting your hands, and you're getting the muscle memory, the understanding of things that you can locally touch and interface with.
And because I've used Splunk before, I think I might. So and I use Sumo Logic now. I don't know if you're familiar with them, right?
Yep, I'm more like it. Hmm.
Um, so it's pretty much to like ingest the logs and how you can do query on the logs, right?
Yep.
So I would wonder, because what I like to do, I like to try to find an open source thing and install that and then play around with that. Because at the end of the day, from my perspective, like when you're querying, like there might be some syntax difference and stuff like that, but the idea is to know how to query properly and how to filter things out. Would that be helpful to see if you can have something that can generate logs and how to learn how to query those things?
So one of the things in my answer that I tried to stay away from, right? Because there's an open source solution to Seams called Security Onion. Security Onion is free, 100% free. You can build it, develop it. They even have Docker solutions for you to use. When you're working within Splunk, the way that you develop dashboards and some functionality that you get in some open source things may not correctly translate. And to answer the question, because they said that they're definitely inside of a Splunk based shop, I wanted to stay in that space. But if you're just looking log aggregation and understanding, yeah, you can download Graylog. Graylog is a Graylog, Grafana, two great things that you can build out in order to locally host your logs. You can also build a SAN or a network attached storage like a NAS, to also have all of your log data to dump into. Getting familiar with syslog, and even working with projects such as syslog for Linux, because that is a common technical hurdle that some people have to overcome. But there are solutions that exist out there, and understanding how to ingest that data so that you properly index in the Splunk world. You want to make sure that your indexes are proper so that the data that you're seeing can be more or quickly pushed into the different dashboards that you may or may not want to build, which ultimately inform your enterprise as to what the health status is of your environment. But if you're not a Splunk based shop, and you're open source shop, you can use something like Security Onion and metric beats and packet beats to report back that information, which is also available for you, and it does not have the 500 gigabyte restriction that I spoke of before.
That's amazing because I just wrote down all these different tools and softwares, and then we're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it live, installing them and playing around with them on my channel. And I'm even gonna try to set it up through Terraform and all that stuff. So
If you need help with tuning, I'm more than happy to come in and like, oh yeah, yeah, go click this and la la la.
don't threaten me with a good time. All right, so let's wrap that one up. All right, so like I said before, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Like the video, share the video, all that stuff. Check out Sox's channel, check out my channel, wherever you're watching. Let's support each other, right? That's why we're here. And let's get to another question. So let's do this one because we answered it on the panel, but I wanted to revisit it, give a hear your because I don't think you got to answer this one really, and I want to hear your thoughts about it too, right? So it
Okay.
says, do this. All right. Coming from service desk, we use knowledge bases to resolve 90% of issues users call in about. What do you recommend I familiarize myself more with the tools I use daily or the daily operations?
So that's a little bit of a tricky question, but I'll do the very best that I can. First of all, thank you for the amazingly hard work. The times that you go without getting any appreciation for the work that you do. I mean, God bless the people who work service desks, right? I am a big advocate. If you have snow in your environment and that's service now, uh, get get familiar with ServiceNow and its products and its product lines, what they deliver, how they integrate with different platforms, things like that. Redmine is another one. ServiceNow is going to handle your ticketing integration, even to Splunks and your Taniums and your endpoint solutions can all feed into ServiceNow and enable your workforce or your service desk to be that much more efficient. um Back when I was doing stuff service desk, it was very much service now and pager duty, because at some point in time someone had to respond to the things that's going on. um Redmine is another ticketing. Like, I notice I keep focusing on ticketing things because that's going to be your bread and butter. You're going to grow up in a world where not only are tickets present in your life, but they are the determinant factor as to what your performance are. So when we start talking about KPI, key performance index, or KPM's metrics, key performance metrics and things like that, we start to see that people are taking and correlating how many tickets you've answered in X amount of time to deliver them. So understanding that, right? Because we got to game the system a little bit. We got to understand how we're gonna move forward. Windows, understanding Windows Server, vSphere. Those different things are important, right? Because endpoint solutions, if you have VDI solutions or virtual desktop implementation that's occurring inside of your place, Citrix is another place. So as you can see, I keep going from one space and then it keeps blowing up, and that's not for me to make things more difficult than they need to be, but just to cover some of the platforms that the user really needs to understand. Ooh, and if you're in a Windows environment or a Windows shop, that's what they call it. If you have a majority of one OS versus another, they'll say you're either a Linux shop, a Mac shop, or a Windows shop, or a cloud shop. Um, just being aware of those base things. If you need to be focused on things like a PowerShell and getting some understanding about MSFT, understand how to baseline. Oh, here's another one. Fog servers, amazing things to walk into service that's understanding, because that means that you're going to be able to image multiple machines that are tied into your enterprise solution. So Clonezilla, Fog server is a proprietary type of thing, but there's a myriad, and I keep using myriad. We're gonna switch out that vocabulary. There are um, a multitude of things that you can get some awareness from. So that's also, here's another thing: familiarize yourself with those soft skills and learning how to deal with people. I was once a service desk lead. I was the head of that section. And people got upset with me, but I asked them, I said, "Hey, after I took over, I was a new hire. I said, "Hey, I want you to take one ticket a week that I don't care what it is, you get up and you walk to the customer and you fix their thing right there. The point of that was to humanize the IT support staff, because a lot of the time people don't get to have fun, or they don't understand that the people who are on the other end of that solutions call are actual humans. And because I said, hey, do this, we had better customer interaction. What does that mean? That means that the CEO, while the CEO and the C suite gets all this special treatment, each person that was in each of the business verticals that we were supporting felt like they received that level of concierge service, even because at least one day a week, one of the guys were going out to help them with their personal problem. So it didn't become that help desk person. It was Bob that got two kids that I'm looking forward to talking to during the company picnic. So those soft skills are going to take you a long way. I promise you. So if you're not doing that, if you're not going out to put hands on keyboard and doing face to face, then you will without a doubt continue to live a life of frustration where they just yell at you because they only calling you when their machines don't work or if something is broken. And that's all I got.
Awesome. And I'll say about the soft skills too. Like I I was just thinking about this the other day. Tech was believed to be, or at least used to be, where the introverts went to hide and just write code, but that's not the case, right? Because you have to be personable. You need to know how to interact with people, because you're dealing with your stakeholders. You like, and as someone who is in like the service desk, your stakeholders are the users, like for your organization and stuff like that, and you don't want them to hate you, you know. So just gonna throw that out there. All right, and there goes that question. All right. So this is a real good one that I want to get into, right? And I think you can give some really really good insight. So let's get to it. So this one says, I've made a few beginner scripts in Python and uploaded to GitHub, but not sure how coding is used in cybersecurity. So how is coding used in cybersecurity?
um so coding is used in cybersecurity in a lot of different ways. The first way that people typically get introduced into coding is when something, an artifact, a piece of mission critical equipment fails to work. If you're working in an air gapped environment, that means that your computers don't have access to the internet. People who code typically rule the land. They are very important and critical individuals that can help make or break the success of what you're trying to get done. Um, Coding also comes into place if we're talking defensive. That's the guy that sits down and just eats PowerShell for Windows and understands how to integrate that with the good IAM security policy. Um, or can generate bash shells, bash shells, shell scripts to go out and to harden endpoints, and create things that can iterate across multiple functions in such a way that it, instead of me having to send 12 people to go out to harden or enable secure practices and across the enterprise, you have taken maybe an hour or even maybe a whole workday in order to develop something that you deploy that has saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of man hour. So it looks the same as a software developer, except the focus is different. the person that understands code within and that was defensive. When we're talking offensive, we're talking about people who are able to look at code and perform, complex versions of cross-site scripting. Uh, uh, no more misspelled phishing campaigns. You have phishing campaigns that look legit, like using the the social engineer toolkit to properly create not only a website or web front end that looks like Facebook, but also functions authentically and stores cookies in an appropriate manner so that it's all transparent to the end user. And now you have access to their machine because, or at least some credentials that you can use in order to pivot and go deep into their network. Um, Python is a pretty sweet programming language. It's object oriented, right? So we're not really touching bare metal. There's layers of abstraction between it, but what Python enables is the modular function of its different packages in order to get you to where you want to be. So just think about if people are using something like Splunk and you have a really good grasp on Python to where you can use Selenium, and then you use the Selenium package to go forward and do some clicks based upon another another um, approach where people have provided you a list of users and passwords of that organization. So then now we're talking about bug bounties and password stuffing or password spraying. Like these coding enables a quicker method for you to ascertain the skills necessary for you to be successful in what you're doing on both the defensive and the offensive perspective. Did that was that good?
Yeah, that was awesome. And that kind of like because I almost forgot this question that China asked earlier before we even got onto this. Which I think it's gonna go together well with this with what we just spoke about. So I'm just gonna combine the two, right? So she asked earlier, put it on my screen. You won't see it on your screen, but it says, "What's the scoop on pen testing?" That falls under cybersecurity, right? And I think with pen testing, there is coding involved, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So whenever you have what's called a bug bounty program, right? And if you're looking to try and do some pen testing and things like that, we all know the major three, right? Synac, HackerOne, and BugCrowd, right? I've had experience on all three platforms. I was or still am a Synac Red Team member. Um, I like Synac. I like the way that they do business. I also like HackerOne. HackerOne does great stuff too. I did Bug Crowd. Um, I wasn't. It was just the the technical acumen that was required to be successful inside that space early in the earlier days. I just didn't have it. It was just a lot. And the speed to which people were delivering, I went to sleep. So yeah, I'm dealing with people in different time zones, and they have factories of people versus just me going at to try and solve. Um, I think that when we're talking about pen testing and it in cybersecurity, that can play two roles. One is part of the bug bounty program. You go out, you try and find problems inside of a existing business's strategy or online presence, or even just period. There are there are things called physical audits or physical pen testing where you have to social engineer your way into an organization in order to gain initial access to have the people who want to do the technical exploitation of X, Y, and Z corporation to gain access, right? So, um, I'd like to say long gone are the days where I can drive by this organization and just dump a bunch of USBs there, or put a sign up outside and pretend like we're giving away free USB things. I'd like to say that that's wholly gone, but there are still places where that's an appropriate method or an appropriate approach. But when we start talking about about pen testing, it can take a couple different manifestations. One of them is when you're internal to the organization, you're part of what is called cyber threat emulation. And what that is you work for the company, and they tell you ever so often, go ahead and see what you can do, and how far and how deep you can get within our company resources. Now, the benefit that provides to a company is the ability for you to identify security gaps or issues, as well as identifying a method or a way ahead that we might be able to protect or defend against it. So that's working hand in hand with hunt teams, that's working hand in hand with the policy generators for that organization, so that once those things have been executed, we can one, patch those things, and then secondly, have a third party auditor or a third party organization to come in behind us and to perform the same things that we did, and definitely provide that we have definitely solved for that problem. So with pen testing, I need you guys to, when you say pen testing, I want you to also say documentation, point blank, period. Because in order for you to provide anything that's going to be useful for the person on the other end of that pen test, like, it's not just about going and wrecking somebody's stuff, but it's about respectfully displaying where some things can be tightened up and where some solutions can be had, and providing them the steps as to what you took in order to do that. And I believe, like, tech coach Ralph, didn't you discovered a bug just recently, right? So
Yeah.
what you discovering a bug, there's something called responsible disclosure, right? And so through you discovering this bug, in order for you to not to perpetuate possible vulnerabilities across different platforms, if you do responsible disclosure, the expectation is that, okay, hey, I found this thing, and depending upon how high on the threat level this particular thing might be, it may become a financial reward or some type of fiduciary result coming from your discovery. But I think the important part is just make sure that you document it and share it with the appropriate people, so that you're not just out here, saying, "Hey, look at what I found! I found that Microsoft, if you type Control Alt Delete, man," or if I go to my favorite place, Tracer T, if I run that command and I'm looking at the internet, you know, hacking into your environment, then it's great. We gotta be, if you're interested in cybersecurity, it's a very uh it, trust is very important in those spaces, and cybersecurity is a very small world, and if you are not acting in the way that you should be acting, word gets around very quickly. That's all.
Awesome. Awesome. So on my end, I want to say shout out to Leanne and to Damien who are watching as well. And let me see. All right, we got it's almost time to wrap up, but I just got a question in my chat that I'm going to ask. there are some questions I wanted to get to, but we might have to push them to next time. But I'm gonna try to get 3 more in. Do you think we can get 3 more in?
We can do four more.
We can do okay. You. This is the man right here, right?
Four
So
more.
let me do this, right? So let me ask you the question in the chat. And let's do it. All right. So JB says, "Hello, fellow humans. Sorry if this was already covered, but I was wondering if you have any advice for setting up a home lab or utilizing community resources."
Oh my. Yes, I got tons of stuff for a home lab. Um, I don't think that we have the space to answer that though. Here's the short answer, real short answer. Um, you got two methods that you can do it. Okay, one, if you have a budget of $700 and you have a monthly budget of $200, then you can do it with servers. Or if and the second way is if you have a very beefy laptop or desktop, right? And what I mean by beefy is you have nothing less than 64 gigs of RAM. You're looking at no less than 8 cores on your processor, and you're looking at no less than 2 terabytes worth of space on your as either spinning disk, spinning rust, or SSD inside of your computer. You can download VirtualBox. I'm not a big fan of VirtualBox, just me personally. It didn't do nothing. It's not faulty. I just have had bad relationships with VirtualBox. And Proxmox. I want to fight Proxmox every time I think about it. But they are very good things. You can use XCP or Zen Server to create your virtualization. That'd be a virtual KVM. That'd be a virtualization uh, 2, right? And what you'll be able to do is aggregate ISOs or what are those things called? Operating systems from a website called DistroWatch. DistroWatch is very useful for you if you're going to if you need copious amounts of Linux, right? They got a bunch of Linux there. If you're gonna do with Windows boxes, you can sign up for a evaluation version using Windows proprietary way, and they'll dump you one. And Mac even has there's a way to get a Mac version. If you have a original Mac OS, you'll be able to grab a version of Mac OS so that you can develop an Xcode and Cocoa for your testing needs. Also, either way that you go, I'm a big ESXi guy. If you do that way, check out VMUG, that's Victor Mike Uniform Golf.com. That's the VMware users group. Um, they are, if you as a student, $300 will get you 2 years 2 year uh, licensure for their whole enterprise suite. So if you're trying to learn and get it, they're not sponsoring me, but I believe in the product. If you have $300, it'll cover you for 2 years, and you can learn all that you want with VMware, which pushes you closer, like into the enterprise aspect of building things. And I think later on down the path, and even in SOX U, we're gonna cover some of the stuff that's build your own lab type stuff.
Awesome. And I'll say this, right? Definitely invest in yourself, right? So Socks was talking about like the $700 to get the equipment and the $200 a month. Invest in yourself, because to me, I see it as like treating it as like groceries and your sleep. Like invest in your self development so that if you need a home lab, then go out there and build it, right? Like when I was starting this channel, I needed microphones and lighting and everything like that. I went out and get it, and getting better every day. So invest in yourself and continue to grow. So yeah, so that is what I wanted to add to that. Oh, and I put down a note to say, because you know how you try to keep it concise, which you did pretty good at. But I think we could build something like we can do a video or a stream or something about like how you would build a home lab, and we can take our time on it, and we can have like different segments. All right, so this is the equipment that we need, another one, okay, putting it together, all that stuff, and that we can add more value and help people follow along and things like that. So, we'll talk about that, but I just wanted to put it out there as something that we could do and figure it out
Yep.
from there. All right.
Yep. I also have
Awesome.
space that people can rent in order to build their virtual environment.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's wrap that one up. And Damian Cross signed up. He subscribed to your channel. So I want to say on the
Thank you
behalf of Socks.
much.
All right.
Enough people
And
are gonna get a custom hat just like that.
oh, nice. Nice. I want my custom hat. All right.
I'll send it out. Send me your address and after this, I'll send it out.
All right. And JB also says, oops, thank you so much. He really appreciates the tips. So you're welcome. And we appreciate sharing. And, that's why we're here. And spaces. I see spaces around all the time. Shout out to you, spaces.
Brr, brr, brr.
He says, what up, guys? Is there a specific link you can post to find AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud courses?
Ooh, Google. I'm sorry. Like, because they have a lot of stuff that's available. Are you saying for the free stuff or the freemium stuff? They definitely, if you type that on Google, or if you go on LinkedIn, if you have LinkedIn and you just type in Microsoft, there's some opportunities for you to be able to get that, solved out.
Awesome. And I'll say too, like Udemy, they don't when they have their sales and stuff, you can find specifically for AWS, for Microsoft, for Google, to figure out like their systems. But at the end of the day, from my perspective, like from using, I haven't used Azure yet, but I've used Google Cloud, I've used AWS. Like they do the same thing for the most part. It's just like different ways to navigate them and different ways to set them up.
Hmm.
So I would say that check out like I'll check out Udemy, probably Coursera. I don't use Coursera. I use mostly Udemy, but I'm sure that like there's something in there, and I'm gonna connect with you afterwards because I know where to find you. So I'll connect with you, and I can help you like I'll just show you what I would do to find out that information because I have some AWS courses. I have a DevOps course as well that I'm gonna be like going through live after I'm done with Terraform. So just wanted to share that. And
Look at the screen. There you go. If you
awesome, there you go.
get into Google, and I was able to find it. So
Awesome. All right. And let me get that down. And I'm going to see. Oh, JB says Adrian Cantrell has great AWS courses. His pricing is changing soon, though. So I don't know who Adrian Cantrell is, but he has great AWS courses. So check it out soon because his prices are going to be changing. So I'm delivering. I'm passing the message along. All right.
and Black Friday is coming up as well. So
That's a
right.
good point. That's a good point. All right. So I'll answer that. So let's get back to some of the questions that because I really let me let me get to this question because really wanna I think this one can go pretty quick, right? So let's do this. I've installed CentOS 9 on my VMware workstation, but it is a bit alien to me compared to Windows. How can I get better with Linux?
So if I'm being transparent, There's over the wire or under the wire that exists, which is solely built on understanding Linux and its frame structures. I've done some tutorials on it. We also have another individual. What is his name? That has done that teaches. He's in the Bag Chasers. That taught a really great learning um, for Rocky Linux. And the reason why I bring up Rocky Linux is um, because CentOS is sunsetting and it's going to become defunct. And the thing that's gonna lead, or that's gonna mark the way ahead, is Rocky Linux. So going through and learning your commands, I think that's where you're gonna find the greatest solution. And when I remember that gentleman's name, I'll
I know who
say
you're
it.
talking about. Keep it
Yeah,
techie.
that's it. That's it.
Josh at Keep It Techie. So just search on YouTube, Keep It Techie, and you're gonna find him. He had like I looked at a few of his videos. Like I watched part of the MySQL course breakdown that he had. That one's really good. His Linux information in general is really good. And I would also say check out Tamika from Women in Linux as well. So Women in Linux
Mm-hmm.
is the channel on YouTube. Also a bag chaser, and like both of those amazing Linux information.
Great, great
And
stuff. And they're in the so the reason why I mentioned keep it techie is because his Rocky Linux is the same commands that you would use in CentOS. So if you that and again, under the wire, over the wire are two important. Like, just type in underthewire.org, and like that will get you into understanding Linux frame structures as well. So that's all I got.
awesome. And you know what? I think they're trying to make me stream like 24/7 because I have a Linux course that like I know some Linux and stuff like that, and I can like patch stuff together. But I have a Linux course that
Right
I'm
here.
gonna get to eventually, right? But it's like gotta
Yeah,
find the time, you know?
yeah. I have courses as well that's built up for Linux specifically, covering from Debian all the way to gosh, Pac-Man. So yeah, love my Linux.
All right. Right on time. Let's wrap that one up. All right. So all right, so I want to get to this question and then I'm gonna get to the last one. So this one is a quick hit, right? So this is going to be, do you have any networking tips?
Yes, be honest. Share what you're working on in the background, relevant to the conversation. Like, if you're really into, like, next month I'm jumping into WASM, right? WebAssembly language, right? I believe that's going to be there's going to be some really big jumps when we start talking about cybersecurity and the web frameworks that exist within it, right? Um, so if I'm meeting someone new, like a QA type guy or a web type guy, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, I'm doing this, and you gain fellowship through shared interest. So just being authentic and not afraid to do, you definitely do the work ahead of the time, and don't expect for people to do the work for you, but also share what you've done so far. Like, if all you've done is work Go, or if all that you've done is try Hack Me Online, and you're excited about sharing that, share that. Those are really great ways to move ahead. Go to meetings, join some of these organizations that exist that focus in the realm that you're interested in. For those military people, join Military Cyber Professional Association. For those people who are into women in cyber, there's the Women in Cybersecurity Wix that exist, or there join groups that have people that are of like mind, but also branch out into some of the supporting industries, like understanding that policy ultimately determines like what my left and rights are as far as what I can do if I'm pen testing. So trying to get to understand some of those guys and some of the people who bring value in that way.
All right. And I'm gonna just add this, right? Because I tell you, yesterday morning I posted a video on like Patreon. It's the latest Patreon video, right? About how to effectively network on like LinkedIn. Because that to me, I think that's the best online networking place for like for jobs and business and stuff. And I'll share one of the tips that I have in there, right? Is which one should I give? All right, I'm gonna give this one, right? As you're learning something new, make little short videos about the things that you're learning, how you're using them, and put that on LinkedIn, right? And I'll give you one and a half, right? And then connect with people who are actually in the type of companies, in those big companies who are in those same positions, so that your stuff will actually start showing on their feed, and then they can give you comment, feedback, whatever. And so that way is another form of networking that it's you're connecting to people who are where you want to be, not where you're currently at. So that's my
Mhm.
little tidbit I'll throw in there. All right, let's wrap that one up. And it's going to be the last one for the night. All right. And then we'll be back again next week or next month. Next month, not next week. All right. That's so the last one is so what are the core things someone new should focus on learning or mastering in order not to feel overwhelmed trying to learn everything at once?
Man, that's pretty that's a pretty difficult question. Because it varies based upon the person that you're talking to. I would say, well, when I first started along the path, I was quite different than I am now, right? So when I first started, it was all about, hey, I want to get out there and wreck things and be just the world's biggest hacker. And then I transitioned into being more focused on wanting to be more defensive minded. And now, as time playing on both sides of the fence, I realized that my desire is more driven in the research and helping people understand like the latest emerging threats and things like that. For if I was to give recommendations to a person that's first starting out, I would say find again, we provided a roadmap in our last recording, but I think that it's important to do what you're passionate about at that time, because and understand and be kind to yourself. Understand that it is hard, and that you may not know the answers to everything, but perseverance is a thing, and start off in a place or with a thing that you're excited about, because if you're excited about it and it's something that you truly are interested in, you'll have the wherewithal to continue through the difficulties of the learning process, which will hopefully help you move a little bit further. So um if I mean I would say learn a little bit about everything. Go and sit down, pick up some books, read some books. If you want to be a SOC, if you want to work in the SOC, or if you want to work defensive, right? Or if you want to do reverse malware engineering or reverse engineering, if you want to understand those type of things, then understand that the things that lie in front of you isn't necessarily the tool sets that you contain, but the ability for you to synthesize from disparate information some version of the of direction or the solution to the problem that you're trying to solve for. And that comes through people that you get to meet. And so, I mean, I can't tell you how important it is to just be a good human. Like I don't mean to because that's very non-technical, right? That's not a technical thing, but my solutions came through knowing that a solution existed out there, but not being afraid to ask a question to someone who might know more than me to help me get along the route to get at the problem. But like you got the whole you don't know what you don't know, and then you do know what you don't know, and all of those things. In order to get through those obstacles, I think that's just critical thinking, right? It's I would say learn a little bit of logs, like spend a little bit of time with log analysis, because to really understand logs, then you have to understand, one, where they come from, how they're affecting the architecture that they're coming across, and what they're reporting on. A large part of cybersecurity is not getting wrapped around the axle with the false positives, right? Or the things that appear, the forest of the trees or something like that, the noise within the fuzz, right? So being able to determine um not only where this thing is coming from and what it's doing, but whether or not it's a priority for you to focus on. Cyber threat intelligence is another really great place to get familiar with, because that tells you about the people who are doing the things. That's the person aspect of cybersecurity, how they're manipulating the processes, the services, and the individuals in order to get things ahead. Like who is Grizzly Step, and what does that mean, right? Um, so that's a really difficult but a good question. How do you get started? You think about what you're excited in, and you give it a test drive. And like, as far as, like, I think fundamentally, I think we need to understand how endpoints operate. But okay, cool, learn Linux, learn Windows, or learn either or, right? Because there's jobs for people who know both, and there's jobs for people who only know one or the other. um get to understanding, like, what processes within your everyday driver. As a matter of fact, just whatever machine that you use every day, your laptop, go look at what type of warnings, what type of logs that particular machine generates, and then look at, because there's a white paper that exists that will tell you what these things mean, that will then help you get into the space of being a detective and trying to understand these things, which is that ties into that critical thinking, and that ultimately is kind of what drives us, if that makes sense. I hope that
Yeah.
that was helpful.
Yeah, that was great. I think the reason that that question is like hard to answer is because the cybersecurity is so vast in itself, right? Um, like I was saying before I got onto your stream, someone had posted a list of different roles in cybersecurity of like 31 different roles, and I'm sure there's more than that,
Hmm.
right? So answering that is like hard because it's like, all right, is it here? Is it there? Um, which I'll mention now, like the pre-recorded video that I'm dropping tomorrow is going over the identity and access management engineer role, which is a role in cybersecurity, and what they do, the responsibilities, all of that stuff, to give some additional like to it's kind of like to kind of focus in on the different roles instead of just the broad term of because how many times do we see I want to get into cybersecurity? I want to it's like, all right, like
What do you
where, you know? So going to so I'm that's going to I'm gonna schedule the premiere after this stream is over. So you can tune in tomorrow and find out more about a particular role in cybersecurity. Because for me, the way that I see it is like you have to do a little bit more research than just the umbrella, you know, and then you say, okay, oh, I might be interested in this, start getting some information on it, right? And then if it's like you said, like something that interests you, you go deeper, you take a course, and you start doing stuff, right? And try to figure it out. You're gonna fail, and then you try again. You're gonna like you have to fail forward. Right? I have a video about that failing forward. You have to fail forward.
I love that failing for it. Yes.
You know, you got to fail forward, and until like you're gonna end up saying, "I got it," and then by all the times you failed, it's gonna make you an expert in whatever it is that you're doing. So I would say, just start something, and you're going to find a lot of times we're just like saying, "Oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start," and we never get started until like you just put your feet in the water, and
Waiting for
you're gonna sink or you're gonna figure out how to swim. All right.
the. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that is our questions for tonight. But Damien in the chat said, "Do you guys have a Discord?" And I don't have a Discord. Do you have a Discord?
So I have a Discord that is focused for Sox University, which is a program that's going to be coming out in probably Q1 of next year. Um, but I am available on Discord. You can feel free to reach out to me. I'm Sox on Discord. I guess I'll find my little numbers. I think it's Sox 4096 or something like that. That would be pretty dope if it was 4096. But
So what
that
I'll do, I'll get it from you, and I'll post it in my Patreon. Because Damien is in my Patreon, so I'll post. I'll make sure he gets it right,
okay, cool.
and then he can connect to us on Discord. Um, but we're also in the Bag Chasers Discord, Anton Daniels of Anton Daniels Patreon. So like tons of great information in there as well. So if you want to like,
Join the bag chasers.
you
Yeah.
know, so like we're there. So that's another level on itself. So all right. And so JB also said, great advice. Consistency is key. Slow progress is still progress. That is a fact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's bars. If I had a sound bar, I would be pushing the button.
And my bestie Natasha said, non-technical but crucial. Great advice, Nico.
Thank you, Natasha. You're always a great person. Just a great person.
Yep. So that is our questions for the night. Anything you want to say before we head out for the night?
Oh, yeah. We have, like I said, I was talking about Sox University that's coming up pretty soon. One of the things that we're going to be doing and trying to attack is at Sox University. We're aiming to be the Kaplan of cybersecurity and its boot camps, right? So just think back when you were taking your SATs. The way that you could be successful was by going to this institute called Kaplan Institute, and what they did was they trained you and they prepared you through placing you in the environment that would emulate that of the test that you were going to take. So SATs, LSATs, things like that, they're a preparatory course for you. And that's what Sox University is seeking to do, is trying to lower the tech requirement as well as getting the exposure and the understanding out to out to the general population so that people can be more successful once they do choose to go and take on that cybersecurity boot camp or certification course or what have you. We give you a lay of the land so that you understand the language, so that by the time you take that program, you're that much closer to being successful. um we're just focusing on enabling that, and as well as giving different training opportunities through our amazing staff and recorded content, enabling everybody's success. So again, tech coach Ralph, I really appreciate you taking the time to allow me to be on your platform to not only share that piece, but also to share some of the wisdom, some of the things that I've learned along the way. So thank you again. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, allowing me to be on your platform as well. And I love the collaboration, love working together. And about the socks you, I'm talking to Nico about like how can the Tech Coach Ralph channel platform give like scholarships and sponsorships to some people to start learning and get their feet in the door. So we're gonna figure that out, and I'm also working on how to like do a monthly giveaway of like a Udemy course or something like that, to help help get you to where you want to be, right? So, but figure it out. But just throwing that out there,
I
and
got
oh,
some great got some great relationships with those organizations. So, looking forward to working with you on that too.
awesome, I appreciate that. And the ever so resourceful Natasha says Nico is free range socks on Discord. So your handle is free range socks.
I am free range socks, like free range chicken.
All right. So that's it. I am we're done for tonight. So everybody go out there and subscribe to Sox's channel. The link is in my chat. And you can go ahead and subscribe. We're gonna be doing tons and tons of work together. I already made a list of some things that I'm putting them to work, right? But I already made a list of some stuff that we gotta do. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. And we will be back again next month for another Q&A night for cybersecurity as the launch as we get he's ready to go as we get closer and closer to the launch of Socks U, and we're gonna keep you posted. All right. So I'm heading out, and you guys we'll talk to you guys next time. So I'm gonna go back on my channel, and I'll check with you later, Nico.
All right. Thank you so much.